everybody, how's it going? Stadman coming right back at you, and today I'm going to be talking your ear off about a different trick-or-treat. I mentioned, and I did a review for the Brendan Daugherty trick-or-treat that recently got a new release from Scream Factory. Did that video. But there's another trick-or-treat in town. Don't know if you knew about it, but yes, there is trick or treat. Not not trick apostrophe R treat. Trick or treat. This is a completely different movie that actually came out in the 80s, I believe 1986. And as you can tell that they're trying to sell very prominently on the front cover here, this is in fact Gene Simmons and Ozzy Osbourne in the film. They do not appear this way in the film. I will say that first and foremost. The cover is a bit of a lie. This is not how he looks in the movie. It's definitely not how he looks in the movie. But got this maybe not a few years ago, but at least it was a year or two ago, right? I believe it was one of those ones that I found during a bag sale at Half Price Books. So I found it and got it for about $1, basically. Which isn't too bad considering. If you look up the price of this online, it can at times get to a pretty hefty price, especially during this time of year. So this is one that I had heard about and was intrigued about. And so I picked it up because, well, when am I ever going to be able to see it again, right? So I didn't know at the time if there was a Blu-ray. I still don't know if there's a Blu-ray, in fact. But there is this DVD copy here, and quite frankly, I'm glad I picked it up because just watched it recently, and I honestly was not expecting good things. I had heard that this was not a good movie. I had been told that this was not a good movie, and I was expecting it to be pretty damn bad. Shock and awe, it's actually a fairly competently made film, and fairly entertaining as well. I'm not going to say it's like art or anything. It's not brilliant or genius or moving or anything like that. There's nothing like that in this movie. But as far as like a movie with a decent plot that makes some kind of sense and actors that don't necessarily suck and, a story that is interesting to watch, this one works on all levels. This one is very acceptable. Acceptable is what I will say. I was so pleasantly surprised by that because I had actually been dreading watching this one for Halloween this year. I knew I was going to watch this one for Halloween this year and do a review of it for you guys. But I was dreading watching it, so I waited until like practically the last second and finally got around to watching it. And oh my goodness, it's actually pretty damn good. I'm so glad I got this now. If you can believe it, this one actually kind of reminded me of like a John Hughes movie. Maybe not extremely exactly John Hughes, because there's a lot of stuff in here that John Hughes would never do. But if you want to talk like a teen movie, one dealing with the struggles that teens might have while in high school, a high school drama, there's a lot of that going on here, actually. There's even like a high school dance that they go to in this one, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of high school drama happening in this movie. It focuses on a metalhead, a guy who's really into metal music. And he's got this really cool setup in his room with a really nice record player and really huge freaking speakers and all these really cool albums. And he goes to the local radio station and, hangs out with the DJ. The DJ knows him and likes him and hangs out with him and even ends up giving him a very special record to listen to. I don't want to give too much away about this because I really want you guys to discover this for yourself. But yes, he gives a record away to the kid and, the whole spiel gets set off, essentially. The DJ at the radio station is played by none other than Gene Simmons. Sorry, I know I was like, where? Because I'm looking at it in the viewfinder. But it's played by Gene Simmons. And honestly, I almost didn't recognize him. I'm like, is that the person Gene Simmons plays? kind of looks like Gene Simmons, but maybe it's just somebody who kind of looks like Gene Simmons. No, it actually was Gene Simmons. And quite frankly, he did a very good job. You expect people who aren't necessarily actors to not do too well in movies like this, especially when they only have like a 1 day shoot kind of a role. But he didn't do too bad in this one. He played his role quite competently. He felt like an actual disc jockey. I mean, I at first didn't even realize it was him. I thought maybe it's him, but I can't quite tell. So, yeah, I gotta give kudos where kudos is due. Gene Simmons did a very fine job in this film. Later on in the film, we see somebody watching television, the TV's on, and on the TV is a televangelist guy who, he looks like a straight laced kind of guy, nice, I don't want to say greased back hair, but you know what I mean. He looks like a very respectable human being, right? So at first, you don't recognize who he is. And he goes off, starts talking about the evils of rock and roll and metal music and how bad it is and how it just corrupts the youth and all this stuff. And as he's talking about it, and you hear the way he talks about it, you're like, that's Ozzy Osbourne. Like, oh my god. Yes, I shit you not. Ozzy Osbourne plays a televangelist speaking out about the evils of rock and roll in this film. That alone is worth the price of admission, folks. That alone is worth the goddamn price of admission. But yeah, I mean, this is a really cool movie. It's all about this metalhead that's getting picked on at school, and he's trying to find a way out of being treated like crap. And quite frankly, a lot of the things that these bullies are doing to him are totally like wrong and terrible, and just like there's even a point where he's thinking about, they don't say it outright, but there's a point where he's thinking about killing himself. It's kind of fucked up, right? And I couldn't help but think to myself that a movie like this would never fly nowadays with all the school shootings and stuff, because the main character in this movie kind of feels like some of those people that get associated with school shootings, even though he isn't at all like that. It's just that because of the way he dresses, because of the kind of music he listens to, because of the kind of attitude he presents, he appears to other people to be, as one person in the movie puts it, a creep or creepy. And ultimately, like when it comes time when there is a real threat to the people, in fact, who are trying to like make his life hell and cause him a lot of pain, he actually tries to save them. So he's not necessarily a bad guy. And it's just a really cool story about a guy who just goes through this whole journey of like, I hate these guys, but I don't want them to die, and I gotta stop this whole thing from happening. And yeah, I mean, there's more to talk about here, but again, I don't want to give too much away. I'm not a spoiler kind of guy, so all I can say really is this is definitely worth watching. I can't believe I'm saying even that, because again, never would have thought I would have liked this because I've been told it's such a bad movie, but it's really not a bad movie. Honestly, it's not. I don't know why people said that. Granted, it's cheesy. There are a lot of cheesy and funny moments. Not all the acting is fantastic. It's definitely a low-budget horror movie. I mean, they probably spent most of the budget on these two for 2 days each. But all those things aside, it's a competent film. It makes sense. There aren't any glaring issues. I don't understand why people didn't like it or didn't think it was very good. I think it's pretty damn good, I would definitely watch this one again. I can see myself watching this one, maybe not each and every Halloween, but every other Halloween. I think it's that good. I would say, for me personally, this is like a 7 out of 10 movie. It's that good. It's not like a 6. It's not one of those, it's good, but it's not that good. It's good, and it's good enough that it gets over that 6 ledge, if you will. It gets over that for me personally. I don't know. If you guys have seen it, let me know your thoughts. If you haven't seen it, definitely, if you can at some point eventually, check it out for yourself, because yeah, pretty good. Even though, yes, the cover lies to you. Yes, only like 5 minutes of screen time, less than 5 minutes of screen time. So they're not the main feature in the film, alright? But the feature that they are in the film, the characters they play very well, surprisingly. And they aren't the kind of characters you might necessarily be expecting. Maybe expect Gene Simmons as the DJ, but Ozzy Osbourne as a televangelist on TV, nobody was expecting that. Nobody. So yeah, ultimately, recommended. Very much enjoyed this movie, and can't wait to watch it again, maybe next Halloween. So yeah, that'll do it for me. Thanks for watching, you guys. Catch you later. Peace.